Hello, and welcome back to Beast Fables, a weekly show where we follow the lives of tiny animals in a massive forest. I'm Brian, and I'm going to be your narrator for today's adventure. I use he/him pronouns, and I am the founder of Dungeons on a Dime, a publishing imprint creating entry-naval tabletop role-playing game content for all your boating adventures. You can find some of the awesome games that I make, such as Adventures on a Dime, the system that we're playing today, on Roll20 and also on my website at doad.co.uk. We are joined today by three tantalizing guests, Ver, Atlanta, and Eve. I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves on the order that you are on my screen, so I guess, Atlanta, you're first.
Hello everybody, I am Atlanta, I use she/her pronouns, freelance illustrator, all that good stuff. And today I am playing Pipistrel. I was going to say an intrepid bat, a very sad bat going through her emo phase.
Emo bat, emotional bats.
Emotional bats.
Mm-hmm.
We love to see it.
We
Next
don't
up,
see
we
your
have
screen,
Balthazar.
so we don't know. Oh, sweet, it's me.
Sorry, I'm getting a private phone call, and I'm going to just not answer it.
Hello everybody. My name is Ver. I use they them pronouns. I'm a comic artist and illustrator, and in today's game, I will be assuming the role of Balthazar, a knight of God, I almost said blueberry toad. a toad knight of Blueberry Pond, who apparently has found himself face to face with a giant cat at the end of last session, which I needed to very quickly flee because of dog reasons. IRL dog reasons, for which I apologize.
There's actually like a dog chasing behind the cat, and then behind the cat is an old woman, and the old woman has swallowed a spider, and there's a whole backstory here.
Yes, and we just didn't really want to get into it at the time, but we'll get into it this week. Obviously, and can't wait for Balthazar to become a cat snack.
Oh no.
Cat snack.
And speaking of cat snack, we've got Eve, who is a total cat snack. I feel like that's, as opposed to like just a regular snack with double C, you're a cat snack.
My cat snack. Thank you. I'm Eve, I use they and he pronouns, and I'm playing Thistle, the mysterious lizard. What's their deal? I don't know.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Okay. I, as the narrator, will actually do my job this week and remind y'all about what happened last episode. We began last episode with Balthazar, Toad Knight, and fledgling Mud Fury, awakening on the shores of the dark island of Shallot, investigating yet another mysterious rumor and or trail about the Knowers, a mysterious group of magpies who have been meddling in the affairs of the beasts of the Bristley Woods. Balthazar, in his investigation of the island with his three compatriots, Sir Quincy, Sir Limnal, and his commander, Bethany, stumbled across, just someone who just happened to be there, the bat Pipistrel, a previous companion from the last campaign, who was there for her own reasons. Hearing movement in the nearby abandoned Castle of Shallot, the Toads split off after a brief reintroduction to Pipistrel to investigate the castle. Within the castle, unknown to others, was the little lizard Thistle, who was having their own investigations. Balthazar entered the castle and seemed to provoke the ire of some dark and mysterious beast, which is now descending at speed from the rafters of this burnt-out castle, presumably to claw and then eat Balthazar.
Presumably. But Balthazar is willing to give them a chance. He's a good boy.
Mm-hmm. We resume the story not with Balthazar and the cat, but with Thistle.
Ooh.
Thistle, you have been twisting and turning in this sort of like makeshift nest you've made out of some old half-woven fabric in this castle, but you can't sleep. You just have this sense of primal anxiety. Something doesn't quite feel right. You look around and see the surroundings. You familiarize yourself with the room again. You are in an old weaving chamber on the second floor of the Castle of Shallot. You are here looking for any remnants of writings, of notes, to start rebuilding the Library of the Stitchers, which a few months ago burnt down at the only chapter house they held of Holdall. What's running through your little lizard mind right now?
Mostly frustration. The one of the largest libraries that I was hoping to investigate doesn't seem to exist anymore. I am annoyed at that, but I'm trying to think ahead to my next stop. Trying to think, okay, well, I can still go there. I still have this person I can talk to. I can check here. Just trying to make a plan, a little lizard plan. Since I can't sleep, I might as well be productive.
So you're making these plans, and I'm gonna say that you start to sort of you get yourself out of bed in one of those moments where you know you're not going to drift off to sleep again, and instead you just feel tired. You sort of pace around the room. You start to kind of look around. You look back over those makeshift bandages that you'd salvaged from one of the nearby chests in this seem to be kind of weaving or sewing room. You light one of your candles, and you look around and you see half-woven tapestries, some crumbled underneath stone, others on old wooden looms, unfinished. You see woven into these tapestries a regal-looking cat, almost life-size on this tapestry, flanked by two other felines. The main central cat is wearing a regalia of gold and lapis, and the others have beautiful earrings. There are other beasts that have been woven into these tapestries as well. There seem to be otters playing in rivers. There's one that's half finished with a mouse catching a moth in a net. Lots of scenes of life that have been paused, half finished. What do you do?
The tapestries are very pretty. They're very pretty, but they don't interest me much beyond that. Just as sort of sleepy exploration of the room. I'll probably, since I can't sleep, I'll probably just give up on sleep, pack up my stuff, and see if I can head back over the river. There's another way off this island than how I got over here, and just start heading to the next spot.
So you start to pack your stuff up. You've grabbed the bandages. Is there anything else you want to try and grab from this location? Or do you want to look for?
Could I use my... let me just check my character sheet. Could I use my scrounging to scrounge? Can I scrounge, please?
Yes. So you're in a sewing room. Describe what sort of thing you'd be looking for, and then we'll do a roll to see what you kind of find.
Probably, well, if we're in sewing room, I'll check for any sort of thread that I could use to sew up any wounds. I'll check if there's any wax or anything like that I can use to treat bandages to make them more waterproof. And I'll check if any of the needles are appropriate for stitching flesh.
I think you're being really specific and methodical, so I want you to make a vigor roll for me, and you have advantage. And I know you're on your iPad, so if you're having difficulty with the roll... Oh, you did it! You just did the roll.
I did
Amazing.
it! I'm so good.
If you want to roll a second time, because you're using your
advantage.
scrounging ability...
Oh.
Good, we're going to go with a success.
Well, okay.
So when you roll with advantage, we take the better roll. Success, you do as well as you can. I'm going to say that you find... you do find a couple metal needles, which are quite rare. They have to be pulled and drawn. Normally they're made from the spines of, say, like a hedgehog, which has that naturally kind of prick sensation. But this one, you find an actual silver needle. It seems to be very fine and small. And silver, as you know, has wonderful wound treating properties. So you pack that away. And I'm going to add that to your character sheet as a pocket item because it fits in your hand.
Okay, perfect. I added it.
And that is something that is very special and different to your surgical tools that you carry with you as well.
Lovely.
You have the feeling that you've cursed, or not cursed, but you've kind of cast your eye around the room and found everything that there is to find. Where do you want to move on to in the castle? You are in the first floor here, in some kind of old sewing room. This is an old, burned-out library that you've climbed up. I'm going to say that you've wiped kind of a lot of the charcoal off of the sticky pads of your hands and feet, so you're able to climb over walls again. There is a half-collapsed passageway over an arch into an entirely dark area of the castle ahead. You could also go further up the stairs. If people are speaking, I cannot hear them. Which is really annoying because this happened last session as well.
I will say I am muted, but that's just because my puppy is making noises. So
we love the puppy.
Do their thing. So
okay, cool. So Eve, if I can't hear you, then it is a curse.
Oh no! Did we lose Eve?
Oh no! Eve is squashed by a rock.
Not even Thistle. It's just Eve. Like...
Eve, like on the other, and Thistle just kind of goes slack-eyed. Eve is dead.
Eve rolled the hijinks IRL on their computer.
Oh no!
I'm checking on our Discord. I'm going to say this is a convenient time as Thistle is packing up their various accoutrements. To move over to Pipistrel. You are now in this, like, Balthazar has just wandered off with Commander Bethany and I think it was Sir Quincy. So you're left with Sir Limnal, who is sort of kind of awkwardly standing by the door, or kind of like arms folded and sort of leaning against the door frame, just sort of like not looking at you, having just listened in on a kind of overheard a kind of awkward conversation between two old friends and just sort of really like not existing. You know?
Not wanting to be a part of that sort of slightly awkward first encounter what was it, like in a month?
More like 2.
Was it 2 months? Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, in like 2 months. So is it is it just me and, sorry, did you say Sir Quincy? Not Sir Quincy, not the other one.
Sir Limnal.
Sir Limnal, sorry. So okay, so it's just me and Limnal. Is Limnal still looking very like not shirty? That's not the right word. Are they still looking a little bit sort of embarrassed about the
a little bit. I have a token here for Limnal, which I've zoomed up on the screen so people can see. But Limnal has a, like Balthazar, like Bethany and Quincy, has a curved two-handed sword. That, I say curved, it wiggles and it has a wavy pattern to it, sort of like Balthazar's tongue when it flicks out of his mouth to grab something to eat. He has a nose ring and sort of this sort of coppery, yellowy skin. Judging from the few toads, actually, you've seen a fair few toads having lived at I was at
Blueberry
Pond for a while.
For a while, so yeah.
So
I'm well acquainted with
Limnal
toads now.
seems older than Balthazar, but not by much.
Oh, okay.
And as you remember, Balthazar is quite young for a toad.
Yeah, he a baby. He a good boy. I think, I think there's kind of like a couple of things going through her mind right now. There's part of her that is like, do I speak to this toad? Do I try and sort of figure out what they're doing here? Or like, do I just kind of keep quiet and sort of watch? And I think to begin with, she's just kind of, I think she's very intrigued by these swords. because I don't think, like, well, for one thing that she noticed, I think anyway, or at least I hope that she would have noticed last time, is that Balthazar came in and he has this sword now. Like, what has happened to the hammer, basically?
I'd also say this is the first time you've seen any toads with swords. They all have some kind of generally foraged or usually scavenged blunt weapon. They use sticks and staves, or don't carry weapons at all.
Yeah.
From your time around Blueberry Pond, this is the first time you've seen swords, weapons, explicitly to kill.
Yeah, I think she's kind of. I think she's feeling a little edgy right now because she was not expecting to. She wasn't expecting to run into toads, but she certainly was not expecting to run into Balthazar, in particular. So, seeing Balthazar, also like, she's noticed the fact that he's not wearing the Blueberry Pond, what do you call it, crest?
Like tabard and regalia and that sort of stuff.
Thank you. Like, he's not wearing the regalia anymore. He's not got the hammer. Like, he hasn't seen Lavinia's hammer anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she's also kind of noted, like, he's a lot bigger than the last time she saw him. So she's like, that kind of initial happiness at seeing him is kind of dissipating into just a real sense of what is going on here. Like, she's really confused and feeling very out of her depth. But I think in typical Pipistrelle fashion, out of curiosity, I think she'd sort of say to I keep forgetting. I keep wanting to say Quincy, but it's not Quincy. It's Limnal.
It's Limnel.
I think she'd say to Limnal, sort of gesture at the sword and ask, so what are those for? And she's going to be as kind of demure and bat-like as possible. With her little whispery voice.
So you gesture to the sword, and Limnal sort of startles a bit in that he's been so aggressively not being in the space that he's like
aggressively ignoring her.
He sort of kind of looks around and goes, "What? What is what for?"
She points again at the sword and say, "That. What's that for?"
Well, it's a flycatcher. It's well, he chuckles when he says, "We call them flycatchers because, they sort of look a bit like our tongue." He sort of a lot of he kind of in his anxiety and sort of like awkwardness immediately becomes too familiar. He sort of just pulls his tongue out and says, "Look, if it's in flight, it goes wibble wibble," and he sort of like pulls his tongue out and then wibbles it, and he goes, "It's like this." It goes. And you can see there's a slight kind of like, how like you pluck a guitar string and it goes bong, and there's a little bit of wibbling sensation. He sort of does that, but it's much slower and fleshier because it's a tongue.
Delicious.
And then goes, and holds his tongue close to the sword. And you can see that it's a sort of similar like width, and he's like, "This is a rough hopper." And then he sort of sticks the tip of the sword into the floorboard of the abandoned bird cabin you're in, and it's sort of thonk.
I think she kind of, I was about to say, she feigns interest. No, she doesn't feign interest. She thinks this is really interesting. But she says, and this is maybe her being a little bit cheeky and prying. She sort of asks, like, well, I've been around plenty of toads before, and I've never seen weapons like this. When Balthazar and I were traveling together before, he didn't have anything like this. He had a hammer. So, she's kind of, there is genuine curiosity in her voice, but she's also being a little bit cheeky, maybe asking stuff she shouldn't ask in her typical fashion.
Okay. So I'm using my brain power here, which is always dangerous. He's very open. So, what kind of questions do you want to ask? What do you want to know about these swords?
I think she's asking in a sense like she's confused because she's never seen toads like this before. Like the only time she's ever heard about like mud furies, for example, has been from Balthazar, and only kind of generally in passing. It's not something that she's really been privy to. She's not a toad. And even when she was at the log, like mud furies and like the kind of elite fighters from logs, they weren't really talked about openly, at least when not in conversations that she was privy to. So I think she's kind of curiously wondering, like, are these mud furies? Am I in the company of mud furies, or is this just
So what are you asking?
Squadron? Yeah, I think she's asking is like, so I think what she'd start by asking is like, where would someone like you get a sword like that?
Well, it's quite difficult to extract the iron. As you can probably assume, toads and heat do not go very well together. No, this was... There is a mysterious beast in the woods where the founder of our order first made contact. And as you see, we have a deal where we exchange the... And he sort of kind of shyly shrugs a little bit and says, skin secretions that we toads make that make us so inedible, and we kind of trade them with this mysterious beast of the woods in exchange for these quite wonderful weapons. They're very effective and versatile, light and easy to use, and he sort of like very safely doesn't like just wave it around near you, but sort of demonstrates that it's balanced and well made. And he says, they are a strange beast known as the Badger.
That was going to be her next question, is like, what strange beast? And she kind of, penny dropping, and the she's like, so badgers make these for you.
Have you seen one? They're quite I can't find the word. Mysterious, elusive creatures that lurk in dark barrows where their fires light under the earth. They can withstand the heat that we, more fair-skinned creatures, require more moist conditions, as you can tell.
She's sort of nodding, but she's she can't help herself. She's so curious. She asks, like, so why do you toads specifically have these swords? Is this a sort of are you part of a different log, or do you need them for, I don't know, certain missions or something? And she kind of
I would like you to make a roll for me. It's going to be willpower, because you're being persuasive, charismatic, you're leveling, you're building rapport with this toad, with Liminal. But you sense as you ask these questions that like a thought in the back of his head kind of makes him a bit more guarded.
Yes.
So I want to see how much rapport you've built with him. So I'm asking for a willpower roll. Is there anything you want to tag?
I'm just having a little look at what I've got. Can I tag my shrewd gaze? So she is obviously, she's being very kind of open and chatty and and stuff, but she's obviously with her very sort of keen sense of being very judgy. She's watching his body language.
I'm going to say roll with advantage, but this changes the kind of answer you'll get. You're not being more persuasive.
Ooh.
It's more that you're reading into his body language and what maybe he doesn't say.
Oh, okay. So willpower roll at advantage.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, that's not very good.
I think this suits the situation though. So you barely managed to pull it off. I'm going to say, so you ask like, where did you get these things? What do you use them for? And he says, they're for self-defense and primarily for engagements of a not-so-positive nature with the other denizens of the Bristley Woods. That's what he says. And what you read from this, with the defensive stance he suddenly takes to the sword, to the suddenly reserved nature, he knows that they're for killing. He knows that killing other beasts is a taboo subject, and he is avoiding speaking about it with you.
Okay.
There is a much a very, very guarded energy here, and he suddenly realizes that as a toad, he is probably in a similar way that you've had conversations with Balthazar. You'll remember that toads that leave the log feel like ambassadors for the logs.
Yeah.
And he's suddenly aware that he has a weapon that is purely for killing. And you are someone he's never met before.
Okay. I think kind of watching his reaction, it kind of, how do I put this? I think just because Pip has always been the kind of that kind of, there's a reason that she has like traits like suspicious and shrewd gaze and a good judge of character. She's very much now like, she's not on her guard, but I think she's starting to understand a little bit of what this situation actually is now. And I think, I don't know how direct I want to be or not. Because like, what is Limnal wearing? He's wearing like armor, but he's not wearing anything that has like Blueberry Pond or anything on it, is he? He's just wearing like.
So I mean, this is a token that I just grabbed, so it's blue. But he would be wearing more like orangish cloth. It's generic padding. It's not like got any symbols stitched into it. There are no. His breastplate does have a slight pattern beaten into it, and it is of leaves and vines, and you see that dirt catches in these patterns and shapes as a natural form of camouflage. You also notice that all of the metal that he's wearing has a slightly slick texture to it, similar to how Balthazar's armor looks. You notice that Balthazar's armor looks the same as it was when you first knew him, months ago, but it has this texture to it now that is much less shiny. So it is metal and you can tell up close, but it doesn't have the reflective and polished quality that it once did a few months ago.
Interesting. See, I can't tell if this is just Atlanta the player or Pipistrel the character who kind of really wants to ask, like, what the heck are you guys doing here?
I'd say, like, as you're kind of digesting and processing and looking,
yes,
there's been an awkward lull in the conversation, and he's now like padding a little bit from foot to foot. He sort of looks out the window, kind of pops his head out of the shack towards the castle.
Oh God. Oh, okay. I think sort of noticing that kind of body language, that sort of slightly nervous energy, I think she would ask, as coyly as one can when you're kind of in a room with a toad that's a little bit bigger than you with a big scary sword. I think she'd ask, you look a little uncomfortable. Is everything all right?
I want you to make another willpower check. You're trying to reach out and establish that rapport, and you've already kind of not failed, but from his body language, you've realized and seen that he regards you as a stranger. Yes,
I've made him
even
uncomfortable.
as Balthazar's friend. You didn't make him uncomfortable, but it kind of established the relationship that you two have.
Okay. Is this just a straight roll?
Well, if you could try and tag something, because you're trying to build rapport here.
Yeah, that's true. Can I tag my unassuming presence?
Oh yeah, that's a perfect use.
Because she is little bat.
You're just a little whittle bat. I'm just a whittle bat.
I'm just a little fuzzy bat. I'm not gonna hurt nobody. Yeah, like
you're just a little old me. You're just a little bat. Yeah, you can roll with advantage.
Thank you. Heck yeah, I needed that.
Critical success. You do better than expected. I think it's the. What was your question? And how did you phrase it?
She said, "You're looking a little bit uncomfortable. Is everything okay?"
And I think it's the very sweet manner that you ask it, and the fact that he's distracted. That he sort of just answers very genuinely. He says, "Well, I'm a little concerned that there's total silence from the castle, and I know that we're being quiet in our investigations around here, but I don't feel good." And he sort of now kind of stops leaning out of the window and just goes out of the door onto the balcony of the hut that you're in.
I think she's sort of sitting on what was her bed anyway. I think she'd sort of get up and follow him out the door and sort of go and look at what he's looking at. He's curious.
I'm just clicking on things quickly. So he's looking out at the castle, and your night vision isn't amazing as a bat. Like, you have okay vision and you have echolocation. He seems to be looking and focusing on something that you can't see.
Okay. I mean, can she hear anything?
Make a cunning roll for me. You're relying on your senses.
Yes. Am I allowed to tag anything?
Yeah, if you want to reason it.
What is going to be... Actually, well, I mean, this is a... Can I tag my keen ears? Because it's dark, and obviously her eyes are not going to be as good as Toad's with their, like, crazy vision-esque vision.
Superior eyesight.
With their superior Toad
eyesight. Every aspect imaginable.
Exactly. She'll be relying much more heavily on her very over large ears. And that particular sense.
Yeah. I'd let you roll with advantage.
Thank you. Oh, didn't even need it.
Success and success. We love that. You hear what he's seeing, which is something's moving. There's movement in the castle, and it's high up. I'm actually going to say, with the kind of the heights that you're at, I'm going to do a little kind of drawing to the top right of the map. There's like the bush is here, and the little hut that you're in is here, and the castle rises a few floors and has like out kind of puts and little towers and stuff like that. And you can hear something moving around on top of the castle.
Oh,
which is weird because the toads went in at the bottom.
Huh. Is it possible to discern what kind of noise it is from this distance, or is it just like a general noise that I'm hearing?
You have really good hearing as a bat.
Mm-hmm.
It's movement. Something is moving. I think because it's so quiet around here and there were no other beasts, the only sounds are like the flowing of water in the river and trees rustling. But there are no other bats, there's no nocturnal animals. It's completely devoid of life in this area. It's the sound of paws, maybe? Or something moving across wood. Very occasionally you hear like a scratch of something sinking into wood, maybe like a claw.
Oh. Can I tell... I mean, I might be reaching a little bit too far here, but like, can I tell the size of the beast that is making the noise? Can I tell by the footfall or the scratching?
No.
Okay. But I can hear something. I think she would sort of turn to Limnal and say, I was about to say, what do your elf eyes see?
I'd say like you look over and you see Limnal is sort of very occasionally, he's not moving, but like there's a slight like as like one of his eyes like darts at you and sort of like is like a little worried look, but not trying to look not worried, but he's sort of like I think again just being that kind of slightly weird candid nature of hers at the moment, I think she'd just ask, is like, you do look very concerned. Do you want to go to the castle? I could come with you. He says, well, I was told to look after you and I presume make sure you didn't get into trouble. And
well, you could continue to do that if we went to the castle.
I agree. I think that'd be a really strong idea if we were all in one place and then we all knew that none of us were getting into trouble. That sounds like a great idea.
Precisely.
I think you should go first so that I can watch you to make sure that you don't get into trouble. And
absolutely.
We will descend together and if there's any threat we can forthright eviscerate it. And he sort of starts to clamber over a balcony.
Oh god. She runs inside, grabs her little pack, throws it on her back, and then runs out to Limnal and starts sort of walking beside him.
Well, he sort of climbs out of the bush, and you sort of like silently descend through the air towards him, and you sort of like little tiny T-Rex and larger toad with a sheathed sword start to kind of creep towards the castle.
She's genuinely surprised at how well that worked.
You get the feeling that he very much also wanted to go to the castle and was looking for any excuse.
Yes.
On that note, I think we're going to move over towards Balthazar. Balthazar, you peer up. This is where we ended the last session. You peer up into the darkness of the rafters, where even your eyes are struggling quite to see what's going on. And you see glinting in the darkness 2 little pinpricks of light that suddenly start to rapidly grow larger. There is a cat falling towards you.
Like, falling?
Well, it's coming towards you from the rafters. It's not falling, it's pouncing.
Let me just adjust to my my little character to oh, this one. Yeah, there we go. Actually, no, I feel like there we go. Jumping. Time to enact a Dark Souls combat roll out of iframes. I need my iframes to not get hit by this thing's attack.
I'm going to change the music to something that is a little bit more intense. You roll to the side. I would like you to describe that roll for me.
Cool. Very action adventure-y. I think he uses his powerful toad feet to propel himself as far as he can, just out of this thing's danger zone.
Yeah. I want you to make a bigger roll for me.
I don't think he's moving away, because if this creature's like looking at him, he's gonna roll sort of under, basically to be behind it as it lands.
So you're rolling in a way that it can't change its momentum to like. Yes. So you're rolling underneath it, like against it. So you essentially like double the movement, if that makes sense.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So I want you to make a vigor roll for me. Are you tagging anything?
See, if we had our new sheets and I could have added the feature, I would add like growing boy, where he has bigger, stronger legs. But I don't.
I'll allow it. You make a note of that to replace onto the new sheets when they are ready. But we're gonna get them ready like Adventures on a Dime. Second edition.
I'm sorry
to soon.
Heckin' sorry to point it out.
Yeah. I'm gonna open up our lovely characters. This cat, Feral Gwen, is going to tag Effortless Poise and is rolling Cunning.
Okay,
and so we'll roll twice.
Asshole. Okay.
That is a critical success.
And
you rolled.
This... Well, I'll see.
So you start to roll forward, and mid-air, this cat starts to twist in the air. It slams its back claw against you and knocks you forward as you roll underneath it. You take a damage of your choice, and I will describe the kind of the injury that you receive, or like the damage.
This feels like a vigor damage. This feels like just pure physical sort of. I just got by a giant cat.
The wind is knocked out of you. You take 1 vigor damage, and you are knocked a little bit back. But you sort of stumble out of the roll on your feet. And as it was from last session, your sword is still drawn. Wicked fast, this cat turns, and you have a brief moment where you both look at each other. You see that the cat is... Before you act, this is just me describing. The cat is gaunt. You might think sickly in comparison to Linefinder Flynn. The fur seems to hang off of it, rather than be filled out with flesh. It is covered in scars, some of them red and puckered, as if newer than others. It is wearing nothing save for a kind of gold necklace and 2 gold earrings.
Well, so, Balthazar, I think in this quick scope because his first thing was, okay, I'm dodging away. He still has his sword and all, but this is a creature who maybe isn't wearing much clothes right now, but still has regalia of a beast rather than a behemoth. And I think Balthazar's kind of like, okay, well, I'm not fast enough to dodge this thing, but he's going to try to appeal to it. And he's going to do like a sweet flourish with his sword, but he's going to stab it into the ground and kind of kneel down. He's going to speak out to it and say, are you the master of this castle? I would solicit your mercy, good lord.
As you speak out, I would say you get maybe like a few words in, and then this cat swipes at you. So
that's fair.
I'm not going to say that's the thing that like you do that. How are you reacting to this cat swiping at you? It's probably going to be another challenge. Or contest.
I think he's going to... Because it's like swiping like sideways, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to just try to kind of squat himself down. He doesn't want to like aggress this thing necessarily. This could just be a knee-jerk reaction off of like the roll. Cats tend to like react to movement and stuff. So I think he's going to try to stay his ground. And I think also he's trying to speak loudly, just in case, so the other toads that might be around hear him speak.
You're
this is
not going to enjoy what I'm going to ask you to do.
Yes.
I'd like you to make a cunning roll for me, because you're relying on your senses and positioning and all of these things. Is there anything you want to tag to get advantage?
Yes, absolutely. I have no fucking chance. I would like to tag my disarming honesty, as his words kind of ring out, and he is earnest. Because I don't think that he's necessarily like me, Ver. I'm hoping that his words were carry, but he speaks very, clearly, loudly, and he's trying to stay his ground. Actually, in wanting to stay his ground, this couldn't possibly be a willpower check, could it? Of like literal discipline of not flinching away or going into fight or fight.
You're selling it to me. I'll let you make a willpower check with advantage.
Thank you. Okay, and it's kind of asserting himself and also his discipline.
This is against Gwen, who is going to make... this is just a pure swipe, so is going to make a vigor roll, and is tagging Wicked Claws for advantage.
God damn it, Gwen.
So, Gwen rolled a 5, you rolled a 7, that beats. I'm going to say that your staunch, just like positioning, the claw goes to bat at you, and you position the sword in the way of you and the paw, and Gwen sort of like rears the paw back, knowing that the sword would cut it, and sort of the swipe goes like wide. You recognize that the words that you're kind of bellowing out, like the "Peace, we're not here to fight," are falling on complete. There is no reaction from this cat. You do think you've spoken loud enough for the other toads at the doorway to have heard you.
Okay, I think seeing that this guy's I think Balthazar will, after this kind of introduction, righten himself. Stand up, and he'll give this guy 3 strikes, so to say. He will say, "I warn you, good sir, if you do not seize your onslaught, I will consider you a behemoth, not a beast." As he kind of goes into a defensive stance, visibly try it again, my dude.
The cat in front of you, having seen that you're not just simple prey, you notice that its eyes shift and change, its tail starts to flick, and the only sound you've realized it's made so far is the clinking of the regalia that it wears, but it now tries to pounce forward and knock you back by swiping underneath. This is another contest. Is there anything... How would you like to react to that?
I think... I think he's going to try to basically, Mud Fury training, parry with the sword. So if he's swiping, so that he will meet the sword once more. Like, you know, you don't want to...
Yeah, you're using the sword to try and, like, ward the this cat away.
Yeah.
That is going to be... I feel like it's a cunning roll. But if you want to rephrase it or, like, lean into something to...
Yes, I will say that seeing, like, he appeals to this cat, and seeing that swipe incoming, it's just kind of reflexive. He's done these drills before with the other Mud Furies of them doing swiping, like, attacks from below, and him having to move his sword to intercept it.
I think then that'd be Vigor, because, again, you're relying on that training. So thank you for rephrasing that. You can make a Vigor roll with advantage. This cat is going to tag, again, its Wicked Claws. It is pouncing and swiping. It is in its element. It is going to make a cunning roll with advantage.
Based!
Double hijinks! There's nothing... roll to see if you get, like, a critical success. But yeah, you use the sword to fend it off.
It has been warned.
I'm gonna say that you even, with like the hijinks, you slap the sword to the paw away, and have the opportunity for like a riposte if you would like to.
I never knew that word is said riposte. I always thought it's riposte. I
honestly don't know either. Honestly, I don't know.
I do like it being riposte. That sounds really good. I will say that once again he gave this guy a chance to not attack him. He didn't take it, and now he's gonna get his ass kicked.
Because you won the contest, you get to deal damage if you'd like to.
Yes, I think Balthazar. Oh, this is a little brutal, but if this guy swipes forward, Balthazar is gonna kind of like dodge it and slam. Like if he can pin this thing's paw down.
Ooh, okay, that sounds like vigor damage. So it takes it. You slap the paw to one side with your sword, and then you drive the sword through the paw, and the cat just rips its paw free of your sword. Like it slices through and between a couple of the fingers of the, and the blood. It sort of flicks the blood onto the ground and then changes its stance. Its eyes have been focused on you the entire time. They are wide to get as much light as possible, but no change of expression on the face.
I think Balthazar seeing that, like, he's a little, because that was more of like a haha, I'll get him. This guy rips his paw out, and I think Balthazar kind of assumes another kind of like, or a stance with his sword, and you can just see the gleam in his eyes as he just says, "Well, I'm afraid you have been lost. You shall be put down accordingly."
There is a strange moment where, like, you are circling one another, so I'm going to put your back to this door.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So, this door here is collapsed. This door here is sort of semi-open. And you realize a little bit that the cat is kind of cornering you. With your excellent vision, you see, moving as silently as they can, Quincy and Bethany, Commander Bethany, approaching from behind, and they both have their swords out. Would you like to try and... What would you like to do next?
I think he's... Because, honestly, this is like a weird situation, because he's not a... I guess my brain kind of made him go a little tanner there. It's not exactly his place to put down a dangerous beast, but also, like, this thing is trying to kill him. He's a Mud Fury, so that's how it goes.
I would say
I guess
it makes sense because you fought in the Boer War and you have dealt with behemoths who have done nothing but kill. This is a thought process that makes sense.
True. Yeah, this is true, and also the toads don't govern themselves the way that the guilds do. Like, the toads do just fight against feral creatures, and that's why they're knights, that's why they're warriors. Mm-hmm. So I guess the notion of, like, killing another beast because it's a life or death situation isn't that outlandish to a toad, as it may be to another member or denizen of the Bristley Woods. So yeah, I think he's kind of what he's going to do is this is unfortunately probably going to be a cunning check, but or you know what, maybe he can actually rather do this as willpower. He's going to try to keep the cat's attention on himself by maybe this is a fun quirk that he's noticed in Tanner Flynn, or Linefinder Flynn, where you know how cats are predisposed to looking at glancing over at fast movement, or at fast movement. Yeah. So he's going to be kind of very quickly flourishing, sort of flicking his sword so it catches light, to keep this thing's eyes and attention on himself while the other two I'm
gonna say this is a really inventive idea. You are correct. This would be cunning. However, I will let you roll 1 cunning and 1 willpower.
Wow!
As a compromise.
That's cool. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see how it goes.
Hijinks and complication. So, this cat is going to take the bait, and is going to launch itself at you. Because it's been wounded, it is now furious. It is going to tag its effortless poise. You notice that aside from the very slight clink of its 2 earrings against each other, it moves silently and with a deadly grace. It's going to tag its willpower as it launches itself towards you, and it's going to roll with advantage. So that is a hijinks and a 10, which is success. You are backed into a corner as the cat launches itself towards you. Actually, I'm going to say that it's towering over you, and to get into that corner, it actually slaps you with 1 paw, and you slam against the wall, and there is a clunk of metal on stone. And I think it's at this point, Pipistrel and Limnal sort of enter the scene. You've kind of gone to the side of the castle, and then you hear sort of these grunts from a toad inside and the clink of metal. And I think, Pipistrel, you have hearing that's good enough to sort of hear that there is movement inside.
Would they not hear my heroic one-liners?
Sure. This is all coming together. You, Balthazar, you take bigger damage as you slam against the wall.
Yeah. Down to D6, my dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. This is
I think it's at this point that Commander Bethany, you notice through the legs of this cat, directs Quincy to try and flank, and without hesitation, the cat flicks a back paw out, catches Quincy sort of underneath the breastplate, flips him mid-air, and Quincy lands against one of the wall with a gash and a cut underneath his armor. He kind of staggers and grabs his sword, and then assumes a more of a defensive position. The tail of this cat is flicking in that sort of rattlesnake way where it's pure murder.
Oh boy.
So what are people doing? Tell me what you intend to do, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Can I ask, does our intrepid lizard, perhaps, with their bad feelings earlier, also hear anything happening downstairs?
Yes. Let's hope. Is Eve or Thistle reconnected? Maybe?
Eve? Because I saw Eve join the Discord, but
yeah.
Is he live?
We see Eve, but we do not hear them.
We do not hear the Eve. Oh.
Oh.
No. Oh, Eve just said no in the chat. They have previously said that their internet should be fairly steady. They say that they have been here.
I don't know why, but the feed from the Discord isn't running into the chat, so Balthazar isn't moving. This is a fun stream. I think we're going to continue.
Very quick. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to continue. Eve from beyond.
So, okay, unfortunately, I have had to connect to my iPad, so I don't have my lizard bouncing anymore. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. That's life. We will continue. So it's more important that you're in the scene rather than you're a bouncing lizard.
Exactly.
That's fine.
We'd rather that you were here in the game with us. We will figure out the technical difficulties.
Sorry, because I didn't realize that apparently Balthazar isn't picking up. Do you want me to restart my stream thing?
No, I'm just going to say the only one who's moving is Pippus right now. Let's just continue with the game, and we will tech solve later.
Sorry.
Because I just have Balthazar trembling and whatnot, and it's very good.
I see it, and it's lovely, but OBS does not. Anyway, continuing. Eve, you sort of... I'm going to say as you have these sort of bad feelings, and you're moving through the castle, you see through a crack. I'm going to say this is your little icon here. On the Roll20, I'm going to say you're sort of like near the library, and you get to see all of this playing out below you. There is a cat silently moving around, and there are now toads in the kind of the space that you had previously walked through below, and they are fighting this massive cat. And you recognize the cat from some of the tapestries that you've seen.
Yes. Also, really quickly to check, how much do I know about this castle? Because Eve know stuff, but how much does Thistle know?
I'm going to say that you actually, as one of your traits, you have a wide breadth of knowledge. You have a vague... You're piecing it together as your head is waking up from like this half sleep and this kind of looking around, and also from rumors you've heard. You think this is Gwen? This is one of the cats who ruled at the castle.
Yes. Okay.
And you recognize them not as the main cat, the one in the forefront a lot of the weavings, but one of the side cats wearing an earring.
Side cat.
Yeah.
Kind of conniving cousin, perhaps.
Okay, I don't think Thistle is definitely not going to get involved. There are swords down there. There's a lot of stuff happening. I think Thistle is going to do their best. They definitely want to see, because this is like exciting. They're going to do their best to balance on these burnt floorboards and just kind of survey.
You're sort of like, you're lying down on the floor looking over the floor, but like, ooh, drama.
Yeah, I'm like peeking over, like, oh, I have to see this.
Got like a bag of beetles as popcorn crunched away.
Yeah, I'm munching on my mealworms.
Yeah. So, Pipistrel, Balthazar, what are you doing?
I think, like, Pip was still like, oh, this is great. I get to go and see what's going on. How exciting. But now, like, she's heard, like, she heard Balthazar yelling. She's heard the cat, which I assume has probably been, like, doing...
No, the cat is deathly silent.
Oh, is it? Okay, well, she's heard the sort of crashing then of, obviously, them fighting.
You do hear Quincy grunt when he is injured.
Oh, okay. I think she turned to Limnal, with her sort of with her keen ears and saying, "There is something terribly wrong in here. We must get to them quickly."
Limnal sort of just nods, draws his sword, and silently just enters into the building.
She will follow along very quickly. She's doing the kind of the Pipistrel thing that she's done before, which is like the half gallop, half fly thing.
Yeah, like the kind of the T-Rex, like.
Yeah, she's kind of on all fours, but occasionally she like hops up a little bit and flies just to catch up, because obviously she's small.
Like running like a wyvern, essentially.
Yes, basically running like a little dragon.
So you guys are moving into the scene. That's what you're doing right now. Balthazar, what are you doing?
No.
What? Anime yelling.
No, he would not yell in front of his comrades. He grits his non-existent teeth, grits his gums, and he kind of saw this. Well, I think actually he's quite taken by the fact that his comrade got kicked and is bleeding, and he's kind of going to. I presume he was at least shakily on his feet after slamming into the wall, very anime-like.
Yeah.
He's going to, knowing that he's cornered, I think he's going to kind of assume a more defensive stance. Because, so this guy isn't fully feral. There's something malicious about what he's doing.
I want
Especially,
you to make a cunning roll.
Brian, you know I can't do that.
With the complication, I reveal some information. This is like a free action, so to speak.
Yeah.
Something isn't. You fought boars. Boars were mindless.
Yeah.
You're fighting this cat. This cat isn't mindless, but it isn't speaking to you, and it isn't reacting like beasts do. And I would like to also specify I'm using the pronoun it very specifically.
Oh, that's scary.
It's like this cat. I think because it is regaliaed and has some kind of intelligence to its pursuits, I think Balthazar would. The thought that comes to his mind is the way that he knows the knowers have been poisoning people's minds. And he thinks not of the envy that they've been seeking, but of malice.
I'm going to say, you considering all of this, and like a flash with deadly speed, this cat turns round and grabs the injured Quincy.
No.
And in one paw, and literally just throws them full body at Bethany.
Okay,
Bethany does her best to try and like steady and catch, but is bowled over. They both take damage, but because Bethany is trying to protect Quincy, they don't seem as hurt as could have been. The cat in its spin lashes out at you, but has disadvantage because it can't see you. How do you want to try and defend yourself against a kind of a foot slash?
I think Balthazar. The only thing he has going for him right now is his willpower. His vigor is really hurt. But I think he's still going for that automatic parry. He's trying to take advantage of the fact that he has his weapon, his armor, kind of taking on this combatant using this equipment that he has. That's not. I know I'm describing as cunning. Cumin. He's using spices.
Spicy boy.
Yeah, pocket cumin in his eyes. But I think he's just kind of relying on his training again, because he's kind of taking everything in, having these rare thoughts in his head, and he's going to kind of rely on his training because he will want to call out to this beast once more. I think.
I'm gonna say roll vigor straight. And
that
this
makes sense.
cat is rolling.
Can you
God.
fucking please calm down?
Oh no!
So with a 9 versus a 3, even at disadvantage, you get the impression, you read from this, that this cat at one time was a trained fighter. There is a grace and a danger to every movement that scares you. The cat, I'm going to say, as a consequence, it doesn't cut you. It just full body with the claw hooks your flycatcher and flings it out of your grip.
Okay.
It clangs noisily to the side, kind of like behind this kind of pillar here. Pipistrel, what are you doing? Just consider that. I'm also going to say, Thistle, what are you doing? You see this cat is viciously dealing with these toads.
Once like the excitement has kind of worn off of like, oh, something interesting is happening, I'm like, okay, actually shit is going down, and I sort of like, as I'm looking, I'm feeling to make sure that like I my little satchel at my side, I like check, okay, I'm like, okay, I know where the bag with the needles are, I know where the bag with the bandages are, I know where all my poultices are. just because I know when this is all over, I'm gonna have to run down there and see if I can help any of the survivors. It doesn't really matter. I don't really know what the argument is here, but it's my duty to make sure that I help afterwards.
Yeah.
Aw.
Okay, so you check yourself over. You are kind of prepared and ready. Pipistrel, what are you doing? It looks like Liminal is about to charge in. Sword drawn.
I really hope Pipistrel over the course of this time skip has like a gun or something.
God, actually, that is something I completely didn't even remember to check with you, Brian. Is if I actually have I've actually gotten a weapon back.
I would say that if you wanted to, you could have. You have some kind of fashioned weapon from the toads.
Gun.
Toad gun.
Toad gun.
Can I, because I lost it so early in the first chapter, can I have my hand claws back?
I'm gonna say maybe if you wanted to, on your journey, you could have gone and retrieved them.
Yes! Hand claws! Okay, so, like, she has, like, as Liminal she sees Liminal kind of getting ready to, like, charge in. She's reached into her bag, she's pulled on these, like, hand glove things, which kind of basically, they sit on the end of her two sort of bat digits, basically.
Yeah.
And they're just extensions of those sort of long fingers that she has.
They also have, like, a slightly carved cutting edge to them for rending.
Serrated.
But this time, they have proper affixings onto not the knuckles, so she can still bend her fingers, but like over the sort of pad of her fingers, so they won't fly off this time.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
you don your weapon. I'm gonna say that you donning your weapon takes a little moment. Liminal charges in. As all of this is unfolding, charges past Quincy and Bethany. Charges in as the cat pounces down. Just to figure out what happens, I'm going to make a roll. Even is good, odd is bad. Even is good. I'm going to say that Liminal sidesteps underneath one of the paws, tries to strike up. The cat sort of moves and deflects. I think Liminal was expecting there to be more flesh, and instead his flycatcher just passes through just empty kind of fur into the air. And now Liminal is on the same side as you, Balthazar. The cat continues its momentum forwards and actually strikes Bethany, slams her up against a wall. She guards as best she can, and then whips round and is sort of like back to one wall. It's kind of like regarding all 4 or 5 of you, and seems to have clocked each and every one of you in the room. Balthazar, what are you doing?
Collecting himself after getting just thoroughly thrashed, and having no weapon in hand. I think he's going to call out to the cat. And well, actually, before he does, does Balthazar know the name Kined?
Balthazar does know the name Kined. That would have been, yeah.
So this is just a hunch, but he's using his whole 4 brain cells for this. And he calls out, and he just says, what lies has Kined planted in your mind?
I would like you to make a willpower roll. You were trying to read and establish emotion. As we've established before, Balthazar has a lot of emotional intelligence, so I want you to make a willpower roll for me.
Yes. Can I tag my mediator
yeah,
talent
that's a good use. Yeah.
Someone,
roll willpower with advantage.
Something over here.
5. You do as well as you can. The narrator describes how successful you are. You're noticing, with your great toad vision, different slight movements and changes in this cat. You realize it understood at least things what you were saying and wasn't responding. And here, it has no understanding. There is no, like, twinge of recognition of the words when you say Kined. It doesn't... You guess that it doesn't really kind of feel it makes sense.
Okay.
It doesn't recognize the name.
Okay. I think he, like, at least for a liminal to hear next to him. Liminal?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balthazar's brows just kind of furrow, and he just says, so perhaps the poison comes from your own mind, then. Or, no, perhaps the poison comes from your own heart, then. Kind of realizing that it's not Kned, but maybe this guy is just, I don't know, just having a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he is. He is just
Pipistrel, what are you doing?
Sorry, let me look at the map. Okay, so the cat is currently facing, not Bethany, but
It has its
Quincy.
back against the wall, and is facing. If it's like its body is facing the staircase, so that it can quickly like dart its eyes between in all directions in like an arc, if that makes sense.
Okay, has the cat seen me?
Yes.
Right. Right. She is going to do the only thing she can think which would be helpful, which is she is going to, from her current position, she's going to jump up and then fly to sort of the rafters up about here. So she's like, because there's a big hole in the
whereabouts?
ceiling. Oh, so like, I'm sorry, I've just kind of like drawn it on the map.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So like, because like, there's a hole? Is there like a hole in the ceiling kind of here?
Yes. So like
so
it's sort of here, and it
sorry.
connects to this library. So I'm going to say you fly up. I'm going to put you sort of
gonna,
on
like,
the wall, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
to show that you've flown up. You dart through the space. On pure instinct, this cat lashes out at you. How do you try and avoid its claws?
She is going to she's going to tuck her wings in, kind of do kind of and like sort of jink her body.
Yeah.
So
You reduce the kind of the space. You try and flit around. I would like you to make either a cunning or a vigor roll for me.
Alenta, what you're telling us is you do a barrel roll.
I do a barrel roll, yeah. I was trying to say barrel roll without saying the phrase barrel roll. Is this just a straight roll, or am I rolling?
You can tag something. I'm gonna say that for time constraints, we're gonna be speeding things up here. So
okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna. May I please tag my orientate? Just because she is keenly aware of her surroundings. Thank you very much.
That makes sense. You're able to take in the room at a glance, and I'm going to say, because you've been seen, you're using your echolocation as well to sort of like know where spatially things are. So either cunning or vigor at advantage.
I'm going to go with cunning just because it's got more dice in it.
This cat is relying more on its sort of like natural instincts, and I'm going to say it lashes out with its paw. So it doesn't matter. It actually kind of reaches out with its wounded paw and then draws it back, realizing it's wounded. You barrel roll safely away from the cat. You flap up into this space. You look around and you quickly take in, oh, this is a burnt library. Oh, there's a lizard. Who's just sort of like watching from a doorway like, uh-oh.
I think just in that moment, Pip is like, she looks at, well, obviously she doesn't know Thistle yet, but she looks at Thistle and then looks back to the fight and then looks back at Thistle again, like, but is kind of completely sort of eyes are wide, but then she goes back to the fight, like, I will deal with that in a minute.
So you're like, I'll deal with the lizard, and then you dodge out of the way. This cat slams a paw down on not Liminal but Quincy. Quincy stabs up with his sword, catches the arm of this cat, but the cat sticks 3 claws into sort of like the side of the head and the neck of Quincy, slams him up. He slams into a wall up in the library, which is why you have to dodge out of the way, Pipistrel. Slams into the wall, several, like a whole floor up, and then Quincy falls and then slams onto the ground and isn't moving.
Oh my god!
So the cat sustained like a cut along the arm, but full on just bodies this toad. I'm going to say that Bethany has recovered from the door and is looking towards towards both of you, Balthazar and Liminal, and makes like a little like hand motion of like distract it. I'm going to attack from behind.
Okay, Balthazar is dutiful, if anything, and brave. I think he will, Sorry, this is Quincy, right? He just fell next to us?
Yeah. I'm just gonna, for my sake and for everyone's sake, just draw an X over. That doesn't mean Quincy's dead. That just defines that Quincy is not moving.
Okay. I think Balthazar's like first instinct was to he wanted to go to Quincy, but then he kind of realized wait, the battle's still not over. Shit. Looks over at Bethany. She makes the gesture. Balthazar kind of he peels his eyes away from Quincy, and maybe from her vantage point up there, Pipistrelle can see that golden, angry gleam in his eyes. As he is going to, I think, just kind of will himself forward and charge this cat in a way that he's just kind of just going not berserk necessarily, but just kind of.
Do you grab your sword, or do you just charge straight for the cat?
Do I have my other... Because my sword, it's somewhere else, right? Oh yeah, it's over there. So yeah. I think I do have the rest of my standard gear with me, right?
Yeah. You don't have your hammer. That was left at the camp. We established that last episode.
Oh, it was! Okay, never mind, because I have it in my inventory. Okay, in that case, he's going to combat roll for his sword and then go...
You fat roll for the sword, and you fat roll towards the cat. I would like you to make a willpower check for me. Because you go for the sword and collect it, you do not get advantage.
Shit. Okay, that makes sense though. Come on. I'll take a success.
You get a 5. I'm gonna say that you sufficiently distract the cat, its eyes focus on you. Bethany rushes forward and stabs forward with her flycatcher. The cat, without even looking at Bethany, sort of jumps its back legs up. Bethany does catch the cat, sort of in the outside of its back leg, and does cut it. And it winces slightly. You notice that its eyes widen a little bit with the pain, but it still remains calm and focused on the three of you. Limnal, I think, is also going to rush forward and lets out sort of sword over both both hands, holding it overhead to kind of slam down with the sword, and the cat just very casually coils back in on itself, and then with both back legs sort of facing towards you and Bethany, with both back legs just kicks Limnal against a wall, and he slams into it. He's oh gosh, and sort of drops his sword and is sort of winded and collecting himself. Pipistrelle, Balthazar, and Thistle, what are you doing?
I'll let Balthazar go first because I just acted.
Thistle, I'm still not moving, but I have my eyes on Quincy as right, as soon as it's clear, that's my first person to check. I'm gonna say that because you're trained to look for this sort of thing, you notice that blood is pooling out of Quincy. Oh shit.
No.
How is there a chance of what? Sorry, the door just north of Quincy, is that open, or is that burned, or what is that?
Okay, so this is 2 large double doors, and they seem to, one has been kicked down partially, and the other's kind of collapsed. You could squeeze through it, but a larger creature would not be able to.
Okay, because I was thinking of maybe trying to drag, going down and doing my best to move the body out of harm's way.
Yeah.
I don't think...
could try. It's not assured success, but you could try.
I think because there is blood coming out, that's kind of okay, I can't really wait, so I'm going to just take a little lizard breath to steady myself, and I'll try that. And let me see if I can tag anything.
So I'm going to say that there is enough going on with this cat that it's not going to try and swipe at you. You are able to skitter over towards the fallen toad Quincy.
Mhm.
What do you want to do? Do you want to move Quincy, or do you want to try and
I'll do
triage
it,
Quincy first?
Yeah, I'll triage. I'll do like a quick assessment to make sure that it's not going to damage him further if I try to move him.
I want you to make a cunning roll for me at advantage because you have the skills to do this.
Was that 2? Oh my god, are you kidding?
No!
So something goes terribly wrong. The narrative describes how things go awry, and hijinks may follow. I'm going to say that you get to Quincy, and it's not something that you've done, but this is just a situation. You realize that Quincy is bleeding really fast. Some kind of artery has been hit by one of those claws. The situation is much worse than you first thought from a distance.
Okay. This is going to require, like, right now treatment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to... I'll tag... do you tag items, or is it just...
You can tag
skills?
items. They can allow you to do things like open up a possibility in a situation, and you can also be like, I'm using this, and it might give you advantage.
Okay. I'm going to... When I triage, do I know where the wound is?
It's like on the side of the neck. You're not too familiar with toad or even like amphibian anatomy, but it's very clear, like, there's the hole, there's the blood, that's what's coming out.
Okay, I'm going to use the makeshift bandages that I picked up last session, and I'm going to try to stem the flow of blood as best I can.
I want you to rely... This sounds like you're just relying on skills that you have. So I want you to roll Vigor for me. The bandages allow you to do this to actually have a chance of stemming the blood flow. So remove them from your inventory. You just, all of them immediately on the wound and start pressing. Make a Vigor roll for me.
Got another 1! I'm not a very good lizard.
This is a difficult situation. Let's look at your traits and your flaws for your character to see how you're going to react to this. Your 2 traits are cooperative spirit and breadth of knowledge, and then high expectations and anxiety of the unknown are your flaws. I'm going to say have a pressure on yourself. This toad is dying, and you are feeling a lot of like pressure of like, I should be able to fix this. Why can't I fix this? I have this, you have this image of yourself coming in and fixing this, and it is not matching with reality. We will come back to you and how you're handling this in a bit. Pipistrel, Balthazar, what are you doing right now?
Ver, is it okay if I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Pip obviously just watched Thistle, kind of climb down the wall and go and help the toad, and obviously, kind of in that moment, is like, oh, an ally. Okay, fine. But I think she's now panicking because she's watching the pooling blood and this cat like kicking the other toads. So she, in an act of complete either bravery or stupidity, we'll decide this later. She is gonna steel herself. She has her claws equipped. She is gonna dive from the rafters as fast and as powerfully as she can, and she's gonna try and stick her claw hand thingies into the cat's eyes.
Oh damn!
Because she has the advantage to be able to do it. She can see what's going on, so she's just she's gonna wait for a moment where the cat's kind of in the right position and then go.
This is a high risk, high reward sort of ploy. This sounds like willpower because it's just you're doing it out of passion and the need for this to happen and being a part. And because your claws are on your wings, you sort of just dive bomb, essentially.
Yeah, basically.
I want you to make a willpower roll for me. Is there anything you want to try and tag to get advantage?
The only thing I can think about possibly that might be able to, I might be able to tag would be my thirst to prove. This is a life and death situation. Her friend is down there. She's just watched that.
I think this is also like you're proving yourself to Bethany and the other toads as well that you're on their side. You do get advantage.
Thank you.
This cat is going to tag Wicked Claws.
Oh,
so it also has advantage. So I'm gonna roll. Oh, we're gonna roll at the same time.
I got a 5 and a 4.
It got a 5. A tie means the larger die wins. You rolled with a D6 and it rolled with a D12. I'm gonna say that because this is high risk, high reward, You're gonna take damage, and the cat is gonna take damage. You get one claw into an eye. And
Hooray, yes.
You also, because it's tagging its wicked claws, I'm gonna say that it just, as you get one claw into an eye, it hooks you with a paw and then just slams you down into the ground, and you are pinned under a paw. You take a vigor damage.
Oh my god, okay.
And you are pinned underneath this cat.
Oh my god.
Balthazar, you have your sword, and
Pipistrel,
out of nowhere, is now pinned underneath, and the claws of this cat are just digging in.
I will say that Balthazar kind of saw Pipistrel like bombing down, get this thing's eye, and I think like as this creature is pinning Pip down, out of all like the motion of its body as it moves, then its peripheries, it sees that Balthazar has leapt up in a similar kind of moment of do or die, and is going for the other eye.
Oh damn!
Yes.
I want you to make
a wombo combo, Pip and Balthazar.
Hell yeah, wombo.
I feel like motivated by like the sacrifice of your friend. This would be a willpower roll. Do you want to tag anything for advantage?
Unexpectedly menacing.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that gives you advantage. It is going to try and bite you. It's just going to straight up be like, fuck you, and fangs out. So it's going to roll with advantage as well. It has the trait Wicked Claws, but I'm going to say like Wicked Jaws also makes sense there.
Wicked
Jaws, love it.
So it's going to roll.
Wicked Claws, we don't get to tag the same thing over. No! I can't beat that.
Oh god!
Fuck me. I can't
roll
beat that.
anyway, just to see what happens. If you get a critical success, this could be interesting. Oh my god!
Oh my god! This is too much.
Wait, can I posit something?
Yes.
It does grab me. However, I have stress toxins. And there's the moment where it hesitates, and I get the fucking stab.
So I will rebut and say, in a similar situation where Pip got to do damage and took damage, you get to do damage, and it also takes damage. Describe the stab that you go into, because you have all of the momentum of your leap. You don't get to like pull out of it. How are you attacking?
Yeah.
What's it look like?
Well, I mean, I imagine that he's just like leaping, kind of weaving around its whatever kind of striking body it might kind of be, whatever using. And it's just a straightforward, like, propel himself forward, have the flycatcher, two-handed, ready to just stab forward. So he will still have the length of his arms, because he's kind of like keeping it close to his body to use the weight of his body to push. However, if need be, he still has the length of his arms to push further.
Yeah. So you stab. I'm going to say this is vigor damage. I'm going to roll, and that's going to determine what happens in this next scene. So it's out of 4 for vigor. This is important for you guys to know. It rolled a complication, so it continues without sustaining an injury. NPCs that sustain an injury are immediately out of the story. They don't have like an injury and then continue being in the story. They just like, they either die or they are out. So it rolled a 3, it's still in the story. Because you rolled a critical success, do you want to lose your armor or take damage?
I think I will lose my armor and become even faster!
Okay, so you don't just have it mentally in your note that your armor is dented and crushed and ineffective. It's sort of like a tin can, like crunches down on you, shakes you vigorously, and then kind of like throws you to one side. You roll past Bethany over here. I'm going to say you don't take damage, but your armor is significantly dented and crushed. As you're rolling, you hear Bethany just yell, "Grab the fallen and retreat! We must escape!" And she kind of takes up a position kind of where you were and is trying to distract the cat. I'm going to say that Limnal kind of tries to run underneath the cat and free you, Pip, and is helping you. Pip, how do you want to try and escape from this cat that is both cutting and crushing you?
I think she's gonna do the only thing that is gonna make sense to her. She's just gonna, because I don't know, are her arms pinned, or is it just like her chest is being pressed down?
Your whole body is pinned by this cat.
Right, in
it
that
is
case,
very much a cat playing with its prey, but it's not playing; it's just killing you.
Yeah, in that case, then it's just full on. She's going complete panic, feral, and she's just biting every little inch of the cat that she can reach within her with her tiny mouth. And she's a bat. She's got sharp teeth. So.
I'm gonna say that's it's willpower for me. And you have advantage because Limnal is trying to like move the paw and shift you free. I'm gonna say the cat isn't fighting back in a contest sense. We're just gonna see what the result of your roll is and go from there.
Okie dokie. Oh, hooray!
I'm gonna say that's a success. The cat, you're gonna take damage, and the cat, you're gonna be essentially. Liminal's gonna drag you free. The claw is gonna rake over you, but you will be free of the cat, so you take a vigor damage.
Take a vigor damage. Okay. Oh god, I'm down to a D4. Ugh.
Liminal drags you to the side, and I'm gonna say without even like seeing if you're okay, is just gonna drag you towards the door.
Okay.
Just gonna keep on heading out. Limnal's sword is sort of like clanging along the ground as it's sort of like tied to his wrist, and is dragging with him. Thistle, you have blood-soaked rags, and your fingers are starting to tingle a little bit. What are you doing with this toad, with Quincy?
I see the other toads starting to retreat, and I'm gonna shout out like, "Oi! Oi!" Like, trying to make sure that, this one is taken. The bat looks fine. The bat's fine. This is the one that needs help right now.
You see that Bethany is instinctively putting herself between you and the toad and the cat.
Oh man.
Boy.
What do you want to try and do? Do you want to try and move this toad? Do you want to keep trying to like just staunch the blood flow?
Yeah, I've started this. I've got to finish this. I'm gonna I'll try and tuck. No, actually, I think I'm gonna use either one of those bandages or maybe some other bandages because I've got clean bandages supply in my bag as well to tie that tight so it's pressed tight against the toad's neck, and then I'm just gonna do my best to start scrabbling along the floor with this huge heavy toad.
I want you to make a vigor roll because this is something you're relying on skills that you've repeated a lot. It's routine, which is what vigor is.
Sir.
And I'm going to say roll with advantage.
Ooh.
Success. You do as well as you can.
Okay.
You tie a tourniquet around sort of like the shoulder and arm and head. You're not like cutting off blood supply but tying it around the neck. That's a bad idea. And sensing the danger of the situation, you just start to drag this toad. I'm going to remove the X because it's awkward to move, but you're dragging Quincy.
Yes.
Balthazar, what are you doing?
To leave Bethany, I think he's going to, because all of these exits are big enough for us to escape, but not the cat, correct?
It would be a squeeze for one person to move through, so it's not assured. They're sort of like collapsed doors, partially burned.
But the cat, I'm saying the... Wait, so
yes, the
cat
cat would not
them?
be able to move through one, yeah.
Okay, but we would. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think Balthazar's going to position himself, like kind of seeing that Pip's in Liminal's hands. He trusts Liminal. He's going to position himself here. But he's not gonna leave just yet because what if Bethany needs help? He's like right up against the door, and I will say, he's kind of looking at the situation, making sure that everyone can escape.
Bethany is aggressively like swiping and fighting with the cat, and you notice that they are trading blows. you see that Bethany is a much better swordsman or swords toad than any of you. And is sort of like parrying and moving the paws to one side. I'm gonna say that Thistle, you pull Quincy. You can either go around the staircase closer towards the cat, or try and move through this doorway here.
I'm gonna go through the closest doorway.
Mm-hmm. You start to pull and drag kind of Quincy behind you. You're moving as fast as you can, but it's a big toad and you are a relatively small lizard. Bethany is trading blows with this cat and manages to catch the gold necklace regalia that it's wearing. And at that point, Balthazar, with that kind of distance from the fight, you notice the cat instantly recoils and its eyes roam over itself before turning back towards Bethany and fighting furiously. It actually lands a couple claw blows on Bethany's armor, almost penetrating through her defenses, but she hasn't been wounded yet.
Okay.
Like there's like that of like claw on metal, if that makes sense. And you see that Bethany is using her armor to the best of its ability to absorb the damage.
Mm-hmm. Is Bethany like making to also retreat? Kind of like what's happening here?
Bethany seems to be in distraction mode to let everyone else flee.
Okay. I think he has to simply trust his commander, as he will then rush out. He doesn't want to go through here to help because he wants to help here, but I think he's going to rush after these guys to try and reconvene with the stranger lizard to help carry Quincy.
Okay.
I think just as he's fleeing, he's just gonna give out like a kind of a sign croak of kind of retreat complete, just so Bethany doesn't have to be like constantly looking around and make sure that we're gone. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Pipistrel, Limnal is like bodily dragging you back towards the door, to the point where you kind of are getting back onto your feet and you're stumbling a little bit, being dragged after. Balthazar, you signal that you are retreating as well. You move back to here. You're kind of getting crushed for space as you're kind of leaving the tower. With your Balthazar's help, everyone gets out of the tower. So I'm going to move you guys out of the room, and I'm going to move this beautiful little drawing of a sad toad over. You are all out of the tower now. It is dark outside. There are no light sources. Toads have good night vision.
Thank you. Yes,
you see that this lizard is applying pressure and trying to deal with Quincy's wounds. Quincy isn't moving. The only one left in the castle is Bethany. There is the clanging of metal and fighting inside. What do you guys do?
I think. Sorry. No, please go ahead.
Now that we're outside, I immediately bark towards probably Balthazar, like, right, get your hands on there, press on that, on you go, quick.
He does
so. And then while doing that, I start rummaging in my bag for my needles, surgical needles.
You grab your equipment. What are you going to do?
I'm going to do my best to just close this wound, wrap it up as fast as I can. I have to do this right now because I don't think this toad is going to survive moving any further.
I want you to make either a vigor or a cunning roll for me, and you're using your tools. You don't get advantage for using your tools. They're allowing you to make this check.
Okay, I'll do cunning.
Like another character can like Balthazar's aid provide, because he's very willing to listen. He's a good boy. Does that provide an advantage?
I will explain in a second. Pipistrel, what are you doing? You're now upright, and Limnal's like, "You're alive, great. Oh! Yeah.
She sort of glances over at obviously Balthazar helping the mysterious lizard patch up this very sorry-looking toad, but she's listening very intently to the battle happening inside the castle, and she is listening for sounds that Bethany might be in distress. So she is very distracted. She's only kind of partially aware of what's going on in her immediate vicinity right now.
What is she going to do? Is she doing anything, or is she just sort of like letting others take the lead?
I think
here?
she kind of, sort of while listening, she kind of reaches out like a bat hand, and sort of gently touches Liminal on the arm, and she just sort of says very quietly, "Be ready." She's just listening because basically what she's thinking of doing is if it goes really poorly, she wants to go back in and help Bethany.
You prepare yourself, Thistle, with the success. Balthazar's looking very expectantly at you. There are hands on this wound and there's bandages. You look at the needles, you look at this toad, you look at Balthazar. There's a slight, out-of-body sensation as you realize Quincy's dead.
No!
Quincy has been dead for a while. Time is strange, you don't know what's going on, or how long it's been, but Quincy is fully dead.
Okay, I think I don't clock this until I'm I have needle poised and I'm right there.
So this is what I'm clarifying is you're ready with all of this material, but you're there's no point.
Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of I freeze for a minute looking down at it, and then I just lower my hands, put the needle back down. Goes, I'm so sorry.
I think just as Thistle is even lowering their hands, Balthazar's just what are you waiting for? Quick!
Oh god, oh that's so tragic.
I don't think there's anything I can do for him now. I'm so sorry.
But we all don't have time to take him to camp! You have to do something now!
I can't do anything else
for him.
for
At this point, you hear from inside the castle just Bethany yelling, "Go! Just go! I'll meet you later over the river!" I can't really yell and do the toadish voice, but yeah. Muffled from inside and echoing in the walls, Bethany just yells, "South! South!" And then there's more clanging of steel and fighting.
Ah!
I think, God. For once, Balthazar will listen to command. Begrudgingly, but he realizes that they are really probably distraction and too much trouble. And he's going to grab Quincy, because I don't think he understands that Quincy's dead.
No.
And
sort of firemen carry Quincy.
Yeah. I think this is just, pure adrenaline. He's taken 2 dice damage, but he just kind of, gets up and says, "You are the commander! South! We head south!" And he starts kind of, as best as he can, run/power walk south.
The question is, I will take us back to the map for context. Do you guys circle around to try and go over the bridge, or do you go straight through the water?
Well, I guess from my perspective, I can just sort of fly my way over the river, but obviously we have amphibians and reptiles around.
Well, I think because we still have our fire gizzards, right? And they will just run out faster, but they won't be destroyed because they're in our mouths. Correct?
Yeah.
So I think Balthazar will turn to turn to Pip, say, "Are you good to fly?"
She nods, looking very distressed.
Yeah, he'll turn to Liminal, or turn to Thistle and say, "How long can you keep your breath for? Or how long can you hold your breath?"
A decent amount.
Good. And he's going to turn to Liminal and say, grab our friend, keep them close to your throat, so they can get as much warmth as they can. We walk.
Wow.
You immediately go towards the water. Liminal kind of is almost immediately at your side. Thistle says, kind of very, like, politely, hello, hold here. And there's sort of just, like, points out good grab points on his armor for you to, like, the breastplate, and this is, like, a catch where your fingers won't get, clamped, and just holds his arms out to, like, hold you.
Thistle is very confused and a little, like, numb still from, losing a patient, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, like, going along with this.
Thistle sort of just, like, not Thistle, Liminal just grabs you, Thistle, and then immediately just strides into the river, and this is a bit of a shock for you. You've never seen this before, but with the weight of the armor doesn't float. You guys just descend into the water and then start moving through the silt and the murk onto the bottom of this river. The flow of the river is fast and cold. Thistle, I would like you to describe to me how you are trying to resist this sudden and intense urge to sleep.
God, I think maybe the adrenaline of what's just happened is kind of like, I'm trying so hard to process that maybe like that is kind of winning over, my reptilian like need for warmth. And I'm just like, I'm clinging. This is such a confusing, sudden situation. I don't really understand. I don't know who these people are. I can't believe I didn't save that toad. I think I'm just too mentally busy.
I want you to make a vigor check for me. Oh no, a vigor or willpower.
Ah, well, okay. Ignore that vigor. I'm doing willpower.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, sure. We'll ignore the hijinks. You had advantage from like the shared warmth of this fire gizzard, like touching the skin of this toad. You realize they're really hot. Like there's something in their throat that is really warm, but also just like disadvantage from like the shock of everything that's going on, even with the adrenaline. With an 8 success, you remain conscious as you descend into the middle of the river. Balthazar, similarly, I would like you to describe how you resist the sheer cold torpor of the river. As you walk along, you have advantage from the fire gizzard.
Yes. I think this is just pure, like, willpower, pure, Commander Bethany gave us a command. We're going south, and we're gonna get there. So I want you to make a willpower roll for me straight, because you have disadvantage from the cold of the water. So it's a success. You make it to the middle of the river. The current is intense. The surface of the river might seem placid, but underneath it is a raging torrent of fresh rainfall, just pushing through these channels of water. Thistle, I would like you to talk to me about how you're holding on, as like you can't breathe. The water is pouring around you. You are not falling asleep, but you now have to cling onto this toad who is walking slowly, sort of like a spacewalk, if that makes sense, across the bottom of this river.
Got my little lizard claws, which are really good for climbing and sticking to things. So I think my natural instinct, if I feel like I'm about to be swept away, is just to like cling incredibly tightly. And is it Liminal who's carrying me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he pointed out those gripping points. So I'm just like, by instinct, latched onto this toad.
Yeah. I'm going to say this is going to be a vigor roll for me, and it's going to be a straight roll. You have advantage from like your natural clinging ability and disadvantage from the flow of the water.
Right.
Complication. Do you take damage or do you lose something?
I lose something.
Okay, I'm going to open your character sheet, and I'm just going to remove something at random. Where is your character sheet? Please
I want
come
all of
to
these
me.
things, I'm so scared.
Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it makes the most sense. Right. You're not going to know until you look at your character sheet or later in the story when you look, but something has happened.
I saw something disappear, but I don't remember what was there before.
But you cling on.
I do know. Oh shit. Okay.
Balthazar, similarly, how are you pushing through this river walk? This literal mud fury mud walk. What's going on?
I don't think at this point I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot by saying this. I think this is gonna be like a vigor thing of just the training, one foot after another, and you'll make it to the shore.
I'm gonna say this is the current of the river, and you don't have any help. You're holding on to Quincy. I want you to make a roll at disadvantage.
So is it vigor or willpower?
Vigor.
Fuck me. Oh.
Oh! Perfect! This is an insane.
Oh
2 critical successes on a disadvantage.
Why couldn't I have that in battle and just annihilate?
You feel like there's a locking of your limbs. You move the arm and the leg of Quincy around you, and you lock your hands together because you lose all sensation in your extremities. You just have this feeling that you're moving forward. The cold of the river is just blistering and buffeting against you. You emerge from the other side of the river, sort of in that same way when you sleep on your arm and it's just no feeling at all. You're sort of staggering and tumbling onto the other side. I'm going to say, Pipistrel, you easily flew over this river, and now you're helping these people out on the other side. After a very uncomfortable minute of just flapping and hovering and looking for any sign they're going to emerge.
Yeah, you're
dragging them out.
Doing. Yeah.
Balthazar, you're freezing cold and shivering, but you still have Quincy with you. Similarly, Liminal emerges with they're very slow. I say shivering. You guys aren't shivering because you're cold-blooded amphibious creatures. They don't shiver. They're just very slow.
Shivering.
Yeah. A human would be shivering, but you just are very slow, very sleepy, emerging from this water. As the final thing of this game, what do you guys do?
Fall asleep.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I think that's too much. That's too much for me.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Thistle, you pass out. Balthazar and Pipistrel, what are you guys doing?
I think Pip watches Thistle pass out. She's watching Balthazar and Liminal kind of moving very slowly and laboriously. So she just the first thought is fire. We need a fire. We have to build a fire. So she's she sees that so long as everyone's kind of okay, no one else is bleeding, she's just now darting around picking up wood very fast.
So panicking. You guys are here.
Mm-hmm.
You are sort of in an open meadow, and there is road, semi-cobbled but overgrown with weeds now. That you're around. You're looking around for things you can light on fire.
Yes.
Balthazar, what are you doing?
I think just as Balthazar kind of is willing himself to stay awake and stay up, he sees Pip move, the warm-blooded kind of lucky creature that she is. And he says, and I think and just that weary kind of cold, gripped voice, he says, good thinking, Pipistrel, yes, let's get a fire. And then he gently pats Quincy's arm and he says, don't worry, friend, we'll save you soon.
Oh my god! I think Pip hearing that, she kind of in her she has a bundle of sticks and she kind of trots over to Balthazar and she just says, save your strength for you and your friends. And then she kind of busies herself again, but sort of in the middle of all of them, kind of clustered around this road. She just starts building a fire as quickly as she can.
I'm gonna say, as a clarification, I'm not assuming what you guys are doing or importance, but you guys are only over the river from this castle. Do you want to stop and rest here?
I don't think we have a choice.
And
don't get
Quincy
to
needs
decide.
help. Quincy needs to be saved.
Mm.
You
Like,
stop
Thistle-
and start making a fire here, and that is where we're going to end today's game.
Oh god.
Just a cheery little game.
Yeah, what a fun
just
little
a fun little game. Yeah.
what a fun
little
little game with
adventure.
animals. This is great, guys.
Oh,
Thanks, Brian.
well, we will resume the thrilling Beast Fables next Thursday at 12 p.m. I have been Brian. I use he/him pronouns. And I have been your vile, horrible, vicious narrator for today's game. Love it. I have been joined today by Pipistrel, Balthazar, and Thistle, played by the most wonderful Atlanta, the most brilliant Ver, and the most creative Eve. My brain is goo now. It has been a full 2 hours of very intense combat.
Hey, you get to yell with the name. That's great.
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce my name.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to reintroduce yourselves real quick?
Sure. Who's going first? Are we going in?
Pipistrel.
Let's go with introduction orders. So
Okay, we'll go with-
Atlanta.
Hello, everybody. I have been your most depressed emo bat, Pipistrel, otherwise known as Atlanta, also known as Alpaca Scribbles. You can find me on Twitter at Alpaca Scribbles, on Instagram at the same name. Thank you, Brian, for a wonderful game that was incredibly intense. I'm so sweaty. Thank you, Eve and Ver, for being our most brilliant players. That was super, super fun, and I am so excited for next week. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Atlanta. Ver, do you want to introduce yourself again?
Most certainly. PBCPeps, everybody. I have been Ver. You can find me on social media, Verface at Twitter, Sticks and Sharks at Tumblr, and you can support me on Patreon at Verface. Brian, no thank you for this session where you killed my friend. Wow, unbelievable. However, Atlanta and Eve, thank you very much for being delightful co-players. Eve, congrats on your first double hijinks. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Here's
that
to
was
many
a bad
more.
one. No, how about not? Not when you're the dedicated healer, apparently.
I know.
But yeah, this was a very exciting kind of session too, because I guess we kind of had like not an early session 0, but in any case, what an
Yeah.
exciting turn of events. I hope that Bethany comes back to us,
Mm-hmm.
and if not, I guess Balthazar is just gonna have to train to avenge his friends and come kill this goddamn cat.
Oh god.
And last but not least, we have Thistle, played by Eve.
Yes. Hello, I'm Eve, your technologically inept lizard. Hopefully next time my internet won't die mid-game. That would be really cool.
Love it.
My username everywhere is Eve G. Woods. Thank you so much for having me again, Brian, and thank you for, I got to play and my character was in the same room as Pip and Balthazar, which was super exciting. Next time I'll probably have a conversation,
Uh-huh.
third base.
Oh my god,
Ne-
yes!
Next session you'll get to severely break Balthazar's heart. Which,
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Mhm.
I'm glad it's just a week
man.
away. I've got to build up the emotional stamina for that reveal. I'm very sorry, but
Oh,
thank you.
God.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been
Wow.
super fun.
This has been Beast Fables. We'll be back next Thursday. And that's us sign off. Goodbye for now. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Okay, that's